Konnichiwa. Welcome back to the Goju Karate Center. At this point, 5 a.m. Nice day outside. It's a little overcast. We had a little rain, so we're happy. Next week, the possibility of live streams is very low. I have to go out and work, so if you come into the channel next week and you go, where's the Get Fit? It's not that I've abandoned my process. I'm off in another part of the country, going into the mountains to go work at some lodges and go and clean some chimneys. So if I can find a little bit of stable internet up there, hopefully I'll be able to squeeze out some content and you get to see a beautiful part of our country. For today, it's been a crazy, let's call it, first week of trying to get fit, and so the body is tired. The legs are tight, the arms are tight, the body's a little bit tight. So this morning it's just essentially going to be stretching out a little bit and getting the body to ease up, because alongside strength and power and endurance and everything else, we need to preserve the body and the preservation mechanism for our body and for ourselves. There's a little bit of flexibility training, especially since we do in karate and in martial art, we need that flexibility. So we need to have increased range of motion across a lot of our joints to prevent injuries. So we're going to just start with a little bit of just getting the blood flowing into the body and into the joints. And I'm breaking from tradition in that I'm trying to get my shoulders working first, and the reason for this is I have a very, very stiff this right shoulder. I had to do something that required me to extend my arm underneath a motor car and hold a plate in place while trying to bolt it in with the other hand. So I just want to get that niggle sorted out. And you can see I swing a couple of times one way and then the other way, and gradually I'm just trying to increase the speed at which I'm going. So this is now getting warm. Alright. Elbows in no major problems there. And it's still a bit tight on the side. Okay, so let's just start. So something that I normally do with stretching, I always try and get a little base cardio in just to increase that heart rate and to get the whole body working. People get tired of running on the spot. No, it can't be fun watching somebody just jog on the spot, but yeah, so bring a little agility, get a little bouncing in.
heart rate up, and we can get going. Concentrate on the back foot. So, shikodachi, and using your legs to link your stances. As I'm in shikodachi, if I just pivot this leg, that ought to be forward stance. Then kutsurachi. If I twist my body, maybe it's a kokutsurachi that I'm doing. If I turn the foot the other way, maybe other form of kokutsurachi. So, staying one height and moving the body through those positions is something that I remember my dad saying to me. I was like 6.5 years old, 7. He had done Shotokan karate, and he was like, you shouldn't come up and down. You should be one height. So, if you're sticking to like that set of 4 stances, there's no reason up and down. There is a lot of emphasis on the legs being strong and flexible. But if you have higher stances like Sanchin Dutch, Heiko Dutch, then obviously you've got to come up. Otherwise, bending your knees very, very high. In the warm-up, we often just drop. And the idea is that dynamic flexibility, dynamic stretch created by just dropping. What I'm trying to do now is just get down nice and deep, and I'm slowly stretching the underside as well as the front portion of the upper limb, the upper leg. And a lot of people struggle, their knees drop in, so we're trying to work towards pulling those knees back. So what we can do to increase the leverage there, I'm going to do it sideways, is if my legs are like this, if I lean forward and use my elbows, start pressing back. If I'm already reasonably comfortable, then use your hands and press forward with your back going nearly parallel to the floor. And just stretch. So how far do you stretch? Must it be at that point where it's agonizingly painful? I think a lot of people struggle with this concept. What is the depth of stretch that you need in training? Slow static stretching should allow you to get to a certain point where you can feel that the muscle is pulling. You feel, oh, the muscle's pulling, you're effectively stretching. The question then is, can you hold it for a prolonged period of time to allow that muscle to become comfortable? There is a chain of thought that says all stretching has to be dynamic. You're going to get better results. Because we do a little bit of static positioning, a good example of this is when I'm doing seiyunshin kata, I'm in this position for a couple of seconds. It's not just a moment and then I'm moving. So that you have to have both. You have to have static flexibility as well as a dynamic flexibility. Right now, we're doing the slower, more static flexibility type training, because we're trying to ease our muscles maybe from the hectic workout. We're not preparing them before a workout. We're using a slow stretch to ease them out. And sometimes we're going to be more stiff from a stretching session like this than maybe we got from doing a heavy leg session. Sometimes, not all the time. Alright, so I'm going to carry on these inner muscles, and I'm going to do what we call the butterfly in our dojo. We're just going to bounce those legs a little bit. A common problem here is that people end up slouching. Try and straighten, keep a nice straight back, and if you can, some people have to use their hands. If you can, try and pull those knees to the ground using the muscles in the back of the legs, your glutes, and if you force yourself to sit up, you start stretching the back muscles. And again, for some people this is an agonizing stretch, and for others who have more mobility through the joint or joints, this might be a little bit easier. This has always been easy for me, but in other places I can feel my body stretching. So at the moment I'm not feeling my legs at all, I'm feeling my lower back, and that is an indication of the tightness in the lower back from a lot of heavy kind of leg work over the last couple of days. Your legs are tied in with your back. Often when people have tight legs, they also have lower back pain. Okay, so we've got that out the way. Put the legs out, give them a little bit of a shake. Tend to like doing a half stretch, so fold the one leg, foot in on the thigh. You can start working towards that hamstring and pull your chest, not your nose, your chest down. And the moment you feel the pulling, that's where you're going to relax. Getting this stretching out. Change. So in part of my fitness is also to improve my flexibility once more. Sedentary life has led to the muscles becoming a lot more rigid, and decreased flexibility is increased risk of injury in my world. And that's been compounded by being injured. So, okay. I'm going to turn sideways. We're going up onto the knees. And we're just pressing our hips forward to start. Try and keep the body, you can open up a little bit. A little bit of an ankle stretch happening there behind on the feet. And now what's going to happen, you're just going to drop a little bit, slowly start feeling the top of the quad stretch. If you have to, you can always put your hands on your heels and just stretch it. Okay. Probably one of the most important stretches. Make sure you don't put everything in one line. It gets harder to do if you're a bit unbalanced, but also don't go to the side at this point. So one foot forward, ideally 90 degrees to start with, And now we're going to take our little square and press it forward. We're going to start stretching across this hip joint. We're going to stretch the hip flexor. Your psoas major and your psoas minor muscles that are in your pelvis that you're going to be stretching. And just pressing forward. Right, now I want to deepen that stretch, so I'm just going to go forward about half a foot, and I'm going to drop a little bit deeper. I'm not putting all my weight onto my front leg, I'm trying to relax. I'm just trying to press this forward. Alright, and let's go to the other side. So we'll start with the 90 degrees, just pressing forward. And a little bit more forward. If you do a lot of kumite, particularly WKF style kumite, you'll probably be doing a lot of the stretch. Helps elongate the reverse punch, that big scoring competitive gyakuzuki it needs your body to be able to stretch nice and long. So very, very useful stretch. Okay, so I'm going to do it to the front. I'm going to just come a bit closer. In fact, let me drop the screen a little bit lower. Okay. Okie dokie. Alright, so I'm going to got that camera as low as I can go. So we're busy pressing forward. We've extended and we've dropped that body weight all the way down. What we're now going to do is we're going to put weight to stretch the side of the leg. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our foot across and we're going to put our hands on the floor and we simply extend the other leg and we're going to try and get this hip to roll over still, and then we're going to raise our body. So we're going to do it this way so you can see. I'm going to do it at an angle, leg out, cross, and try and stretch that body up. Now you've got a little pull here, bit of a pull in the back maybe, but under this buttock and down the side of this leg that's bent, you're going to start feeling a stretch. That is part of your ITB, iliotibial band that's stretching, as well as your tensor fasciolator muscle, which is right at the top, and then those glutes. So we're getting that stretch going. And again, also quite a common stretch for a very, very high profile or high performance competitive karateka, just to improve muscle groups that are used in kicking and in massively dynamic movement. And that includes forward and backward motion, but also lateral left and right motion. Trying to sound fancy. It makes you a better performer. Okay, now to relax, all I do is I sit on this and I I can rotate this leg out, and we're back to sitting up this way and trying to elongate. And I'm stretching down the back of this leg, and we've got a little bit of that hamstring, but we've also got a little bit on the inside being stretching, your adductors starting to stretch. Try not to collapse, try and keep the body upright, try and not post too much, just try and use your stomach and back muscles to elongate. And let's go to the other side. So do this again at an angle, one, maybe a little bit further, fold that leg, and rotate that hip and stretch up. And try and breathe, keep your breathing normal. If you can't breathe while you're doing this, there's something wrong. You're massively inflexible, or you have got injuries that you need to be very, very careful of, and you need to start a little bit easier, a little bit lighter. And relax, and rotate, and elongate. Up we come. So, stretching is kind of important, but what we find with a lot of stretching is that you'll get people in the fitness industry going, you can't do that stretch, it's bad for you, it's you're going to hurt your back, you're going to hurt this, you're going to hurt that. And if you look at where they're working and what they're trying to do, got to appreciate that they're trying to make people healthier and maybe not necessarily as functional as possible based on a specific sport. So in stretching, one of the important things is to maintain a balance between, let's say, one set of muscles and the other, so that you get a balance in the leg's development. You're also going to do the same thing as far as strength training. You're going to load this equally to that. But we're also going to stretch certain parts of our body a little bit more, because the rigors of what we do require it. So if you never stretch your back because you're going, well, sports science says you've got to be careful of stretching your back, which you do have to do, and it's like a contraindicated, so you're never going to touch it. What's going to happen when you get on the ground and you're wrestling with somebody and they start to crank on your back, you're giving up quicker because your range of flexibility is lower. Now, I'm not saying that we need to make our entire body like Mr. Fantastic, all elastic, and you can bend through all the joints. That's not the point. The point is we need to have flexibility relative to what we're doing. And it's going to change. Your flexibility demands are going to change as you age. The older you become, the more you're going to be like, well, I'd like to just maintain what I've got, rather than try to force it beyond the regular motion. Good friend of mine, his mom started Pilates when she was 70, and she ended up tearing a whole bunch of muscles in her leg because she she stretched beyond the range of motion, and at 70, that was kind of debilitating. So you've got to do enough based on where you are, and you've got to use that thing that is not so readily available. You've got to use some common sense. Okay, so I've just done a little bit on the quad in a certain way, and I've done a lot on the hip flexor and a little bit of hamstrings, and I want to move in my stretching to maybe inside and outside, but I'm not going into like a full split. What I want to be able to do now is I want to be able to load, and I worry about how much weight people press on their knee joint, because when you do that, you're stretching this ligament on the inside, and that's also not great. But rather put the hand a little bit higher, focus around your hips, and then just pressing. Now, the legs are not designed to go very far this way, so the stretch is not going to be super deep, but we are just easing up in this kind of area, this kind of zone. I'm trying to keep my pinky toes straight towards the camera, and I'm trying to keep both feet on the pinky toe edge parallel. Again, I'm starting off slowly. I'm just easing my muscles into where I'm going. I'm trying to be vigilant of the aches and pains that I feel, not the stress of the muscles being under weight and load, and I'm actually working. And I'm gradually getting a little bit deeper and deeper. I'm trying to avoid the hang on the knee. Alright, now what we're going to do, we're going to take one leg and turn it that way. So we're effectively doing an elongated form of back stance, and I'm just going to start pulling backwards and stretching. If you have an injury with the knee where you feel that the knee goes that way too easily, then keep it bent and drop and feel where does this start to stretch. Okay? At this point, in my case, this stretch does very little to my body. Where I start focusing is deep in the pelvis, on the actual hip joint, and on the muscles over here. This section, I'm feeling it stretching there in my case, because if I'm concentrating on dropping, kind of crumpling them up. Alright, and this is more a transitional stretch for us. So same thing, you can put your hands on the floor, but lift up the toes now, heel flat, heel on the deck, hands on the floor. And what I like to do is use my elbow against my knee, my arm holding close to my other knee. And now I'm stretching, and now the focus is that hamstring. And again. This one's quite easy to do dynamically. All you have to do is like a Cossack kind of changeover. You just bounce from one to the other, but it is also super important to do as a slow static stretch from time to time. Okay, up we come. So the legs easing out on the inside because we've been stretching them. We need to balance out what's going on here. We've done a little bit there already. I'm going back down to here. It's a very unfluid-like warm-up kind of exercise. And all I'm going to do is just bring my leg across. You can bend this leg if you need to. I'm focusing here. I remember the first time I learned this, you put your hand underneath and you cranked up. My leg is so tight, I can't get my hand underneath anymore. So Grab your foot with your hand, create a 90-degree bend, try sit upright for that lower back, and just pull towards your shoulder a little bit, and we're working a little bit again, that ITB. A little bit of a static hold. Let's change. So, get that up, try and nice 90 degrees. Alright, now the other way of doing this is to grab the foot, and now we're going to work on the other side and we're going to extend the legs. So trying to get up and extend. Now we're going to play pass, extend. You can support yourself so you don't fall over. And now you're getting the stretch that's going a bit further. The more you straighten this leg, the more you are stretching, the better the flexibility that you have. So let's start off with out, stretching. Pass. Got another version of this where you lay on the ground. We'll do that at another point in another live stream. Okay, give those legs a little bit of a shake. Let's open up our legs. So, the first stretch is that most people, when they open their legs, the body collapses. The first thing to try and get right is to sit upright and to pull the pelvis forward. Okay, so to help you with that pelvis moving forward, put your hands behind you and press forward. I'm going to do it from the side. So I haven't got the greatest, biggest angle. Maybe my body is doing this. The first part of the stretch is to elongate. Okay, try and keep your posture, and if it's pulling like crazy, you're stretching. That's good. The next thing, try keep the heels more or less where they're at. Okay, you can see I'm already naturally pulling my feet back like a little crab scuttling. But I can take my hands, put them behind me, and press my hips forward. And as I do that, I'm going to feel the stretch coming down the inside of the knee. So, as I'm here, just press, press, and press. And then, I generally don't like people posting, but this is one of the places where I'm pretty tolerant of it. And try to get that body upright. So you're stretching already. I'm going to turn at an angle so you can see what I do with my feet. Okay, so I'm up and we're stretching here. Now, we want to try and stretch out the nerve endings. I was told to do this by a physiotherapist a couple of years ago to help with, I was experiencing some pain at extreme range of motion. She said to me it's the nerve endings, the nerve that is pulling. And so there are these pull back and extend kind of ideas. And upright. Now if you can hold yourself upright, try and increase this. Now lift those shoulders. Now we start, this is like a workout, because now it's your back plus your legs. So you're going to look, again, you can just turn because we're in this portrait mode. We're going to lift up, like a ballerina, pull the shoulders back, stop the chest from caving in, keep the head nice and straight, and extend. And if you're feeling, wow, that's my back and my shoulders, that's kind of cool. Right, so this is the first part. The next part is to gently go to the side. Just adjust so you can see. So I'm effectively not falling forward, trying to keep that position as I stretch, trying to get this hand to my toes. Let's go to the other side. So, this hand, if you want to put it on the inside, that's okay because it stops you, kind of acts as a little post, and then just stretch. And you should feel it up the side of your body as you're going down. It doesn't help that I'm looking at the camera. Alright. And bring the legs in. So, for South Africans, we generally, if you're living in the cities of Johannesburg and Pretoria, which are in the interior, we tend to be in a very, very fast-paced environment. And we literally call the grind outside, it's sometimes called the rat race. Everybody's just go, 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 everybody's trying to make money. One of the biggest problems, people don't slow down to breathe and to stretch. So in a dojo where everybody's fast-paced all the time, you don't always have to keep it fast-paced. The most agonizing thing I can do to my seniors and my adults is to occasionally do a stretch class. The benefit for them is everything slows down and it includes the brain. And I think that's kind of this stretching and meditation kind of coming together. And as the two come together, you're able to deal with a whole bunch of stuff. It's also beneficial because at some point, you're going to be asked to do something that's going to place your body in an increased stretch or range of motion. And you're going to have strength in that increased range of motion. And if you don't have it, you're going to get hurt, and that's going to stop your karate. Whether you're doing karate for fun, it's your twice a week or 3 times a week activity just to get the heart up so that the doctor doesn't have a panic attack when he does your next set of bloods, or whether you're a high performance athlete on the other end of it, you need to slow down at some point and breathe. And it's super important. I think that a lot of people don't do it. I'm always bewildered when I meet people from the coastal areas and I ask them, do you go to the beach? And they're like, no, we don't go to the beach. When I go to the coast and I get to walk along the sea, it forces me to slow down totally and just to absorb my environment. And I think we don't do enough of that. You can walk quite fast and quite far on the beach. I know I did about 5.5 Ks the one day with my mother-in-law. She tried to kill me. It's okay, I'm still here. And then it's also super important just to stretch and to work on that. So I also think that might be a good explanation why you see the proliferation of Pilates and yoga studios, because people have realized that it's maybe good for their sanity. All right, enough talking, let's get back to stretching. Okay, so a little bit of lower back, kind of stretching, and we've been doing a lot of this with our tiger push-ups. So as we just pressing, we're going to do one way. I'm going to actually turn this way so you can see what I'm doing. So my legs are straight and my toes are down, I'm looking up. Then I'm going to go back kind of like somebody who's dropping their body and being we call it the penitent worshiper in our dojo. Try to stretch your arms as far forward as possible and push your buttocks back. It may feel more like a shoulder and arm stretch at this point. Then come up, natural, as far as it will go naturally. Curve the back up. The opposite, drop it down. And then straighten it up. The next one, I'm just going to turn a little bit. Keeping your hand where it is, you're now going to take an arm and go through. Drop that shoulder. Push that elbow forward as you go. And just stretch. A little twist. Other way. And back up. And then I like to, let me come closer. And you could do this standing up, you could do it in a doorway. Some people like to hold on to something. I like to concentrate on my shoulder. I don't want it going up. A lot of people go. I want the shoulder to be down, so I often pull down and across, and then a little rotation. So I'm getting a bit of shoulder, and I'm getting a little bit across the torso. And then we'll go to the other side, a little rotation, and again, try and keep that shoulder down. Right, so a lot of people also like to stretch behind the head, stretching up the back of the tricep, and you'll see that I immediately want to press sideways, so I get a stretch from here all the way to there. And the other way. Hands. If you have a lot of, like people who, when you do moashike or hikeuke, their wrist, this is the range of their motion. You need to increase this flexibility. So I'm more in shot. You do it this way, put your hands on the floor and just, so now I'm doing a little bit of wrist stretch. And again, that very, very tight palm position, like palm strike in the push-up, is going to create this wrist flexibility. The other side, just kind of sit back and try and pull back, effectively stretching the wrist in the gooseneck. Okay, hook the hands behind the back and lift the hands up. So just lifting the hands up. And you can see I don't have much flexibility in this plane. And we just want to try and slowly stretch. I think one of the biggest problems with any sporting code is that you start concentrating on what you need and you neglect other parts, and as a direct result, one side becomes hypermobile and the other side becomes inflexible. And this particular stretch is a good indication of that hypermobility in some places and an inflexibility, a total rigidness in others. So we've done over, we've done behind, we've done the wrist, we've done the arms, and arms generally are quite flexible, especially if you're using them all the time. When people do in warm-ups or in preparation exercises for karate, typically the Goju type Yungi Yundo, you will find that we do wrist, we do forearm, we do fingers, we do forearm. Okay, we're constantly trying to get that forearm. At the same time, we're working a little bit this big chunk of muscle. It's called brachialis. We're stretching that as well. Okay, so you end up going through these kind of exercises. My interesting interpretation, and maybe I'm just crazy, which is not unlikely, is that a lot of people put their hand on their chest when they do this. And I tend to put my hand out, put the elbow in front, and I get that hand out, and I'm working with my thumb and my fingers this way. I'm doing two things. One, I'm training myself. If I'm grabbing onto somebody's wrist, I'm trying to grab and bend, and the next thing is I want to pull their arm out and keep that 90, so I can increase the pain that I inflict. Now, in my case, I'm increasing my flexibility in that position so that when somebody tries to put it on, I hopefully have a little bit more range of motion so that I don't give up that quickly. It gives me a little bit more time to react. Okay, so that's the one. The other one is the gooseneck, and you'll see people will hold their arm against their chest and they'll be pressing down. Put that arm out there. So now, three things. One is I'm working on getting the gooseneck correct on somebody else. I'm trying to get it down. Two, I'm increasing my tolerance to it. And three, go to the front, there's this awkward kind of double kobuke block found at the end of Sansaru and Superumpe. I'm working on my posture, my structure in doing that as well. So here I've got a third one. I'm just bending that wrist. Okay, so this side. I may have neglected this side. Okay, so I've been going for roughly 50 minutes and probably go on for another 2 hours. Stretching is one of the most amazing things, one of the best workouts you can get for your sanity, to help with injury and to ease off tight, stiff muscles. And if there's anything that's going to start your day in the most fantastic way, or probably close off your day in the most fantastic way, it's a good stretch kind of session. If you have the luxury and you live in a world where you could train 2 to 3 times a day, one of your sessions would invariably have to be a good stretch session. But that's utopian. It's like if you have, like I said, the luxury, if you don't have to go out and work and you could do that, wow, you're fortunate. If you can find 4 or 5 hours a day for workouts, then an hour of stretching every day, you're going to be like supremely fit. So that's it for this morning. I'm going to quickly grab my specs and have a look at all the comments. I see I'm far enough away that I can see I've got messages from Michelle. Hello, Michelle. Greetings. Hello, CJ. Hello, Mia. Taekwondo Power. Os. Yeah, Os. Good morning. Kambo. Konnichiwa. I think. Yeah, let me get my glasses. Quickly scroll through all the messages. Okay. All right. Hello, Canada. Great. CJ, have a good one. You too. Good morning, Mia. Hope you and Kevin and Dom have an awesome weekend. And Taekwondo Power. Hope you guys have an awesome one. Everybody else who watches a little later, I hope you had a good workout too. That's it for today. Cheers, everybody. Have a good one.